Welcome, everyone, to the Comedy Sportz Podcast, starring your host, Christine Rollo Capriolo. And let's hear it for a very special friend of mine, and soon to be yours, Holly Fluffy Ignatowski.
Hey everybody, it's Christine Rollo Capriolo. Welcome to today's podcast. I am extremely excited. Today we have Holly Ignatowski here to talk. Holly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Christine?
I'm so good. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for asking me. This is a great idea.
Well,
talking to me is always a great idea.
Well, exactly. Exactly. Holly, I always start by asking everybody where you're from.
I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, born and raised.
Born and raised? Always lived here?
Always lived here.
Nice.
All 22 and a half years of my life.
Right. Okay.
I'm 55.
No, you're not.
I am too.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Okay.
What did you want to be when you were a kid?
That's a really good question. I can remember telling my mom that I wanted to be a teacher, but she said no, because she was a teacher.
Oh, she was.
So she either didn't like teaching or just, wanted to encourage me to do something else.
Sure.
I'm not sure. And then I remember saying that I wanted to be a wife and a mother.
Okay.
So I had high ambitions
Yeah.
just as a child. And
I wanted the same.
Well, absolutely. I mean,
Because I bet you had a great mama, and that's why
I
you
did
wanted
I had a good mama.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and as time went on, it changed. I think I wanted to be an Avon lady at one point, which I was for 2 weeks.
You were?
I was.
2 weeks?
Yeah. I was. I know. And then it kind of... I don't know. I went to school, and school kind of formed and shaped me, and I ended up going into broadcasting.
Okay, where'd you go?
I went to UWM.
Milwaukee. So
Milwaukee.
you did stay here.
I really did.
Okay.
I know. Although I studied for a semester in London, England.
Really?
So I got to study over there.
Give me your best British.
My best British.
'Cause I can't do it.
Lovely. Everything was lovely. Bangers and mash were delish. I don't know if they still say that,
Well,
but the
sounds
kids,
good to me.
The kids were saying it back then, yeah. So that was a great experience because I got to see parts of Europe, and I got to see the Queen from afar.
Okay.
And came back and got my degree, and I started working. What did I do? I did the 6 to midnight shift at WMLW in Watertown, Wisconsin.
Oh, right.
They don't have a Southern accent, so I'm not really sure why.
But you did when you did the show.
Apparently I did. And that led to my big coup, which was I worked, I got a job at WTMJ AM in Milwaukee.
Okay.
Because I wrote a letter to Jonathan Green, who was doing the afternoon drive show at the time. He was
Yes.
like, all the rave. My mother loved him. And I wrote him a letter and I said, hey, I have a degree in broadcasting and I want your job. How can I get it? And he was apparently impressed with that. So he kept in touch with me. He
Wow.
helped me to get my job in Watertown. And then he brought me on board at TMJ. And I got to do all kinds of different, like producing, on-air stuff. I made a
Really?
lot of contacts. Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. Just writing a lovely little letter and sending it in the
I doubt
post.
that it does. I probably would have been arrested had I done that today. I want your job.
Right.
Open up the door. So, yeah. And then that kind of snowballed into doing voice work. And then I got a full-time job describing houses for 8 hours a day.
That was fun.
It was really fun. But actually, it was great practice for my future because I'm a voice actor. And here's a little tidbit.
A little bit.
Let me Holly, how did you get into Comedy Sportz?
I'm going to.
Okay.
Don't ruin it.
So I'm not going to tell you. I'm not telling you. No. Okay. Next question.
Okay. Holly, how then did you get into Comedy Sportz?
Oh, interesting question. So when I was working at WTMJ with Jonathan Green, he gave me for Christmas a certificate to take workshops.
Really?
And, I was like, Comedy Sportz, what's that? I thought it was to go see shows. I never did theater in high school or college or anything. I was actually even a little shy. I was a pom-pom girl.
Were you?
Yes, I was. And I had the highest kicks on the squad. I'm just saying, sorry, Anita, mine were higher.
All right. Did Jonathan Green do Comedy Sportz workshops? Like, what a
He didn't.
interesting
He was
gift.
right. He was very good friends with a man named AJ, who had a number of friends in Comedy Sportz.
Okay.
One of them I ended up marrying.
What? We'll get to Joe Mama Cortese later.
Right. So I find myself in these workshops, and I'm absolutely terrified. I'm like, I'm going to do what now? And it was, to learn improv. Took one, and I was hooked for life. It changed my life. It was exhilarating and terrifying. And
what year are we talking here?
We're talking.
You already told us your age. Come on.
I'm 23. So I started as a fetus in the late 80s. It was like 89, I think, 88, 89. And then in 90, Dick Chudnow, the Grand Poobah, asked me to play professionally.
So who taught your workshops? Do you remember?
I do. Bo Johnson.
Bo Johnson.
Taught my workshops.
Yeah.
Then we would have, guest instructors, like people who were playing full time. I think Joe Cortese was one of them who came in to help instruct.
That guy.
China, right? Sean Henry. That's from the way
that's way
back.
back.
Yeah. But for the most part, it was Bo Johnson, and I took, the first part is 6 weeks of the beginning workshop.
Right.
And then I went to whatever the next level was.
Sure.
And then from there,
So
I'll start playing.
how did it change your life? What was bringing you back to it each week? Why'd you keep doing it?
I think because it completely rocked my world. But yet, as even though I didn't do theater or anything in high school, I remember as a kid, my mom always would call it play acting. I was like, for hours, I'd be in my room just play acting, like picture a Gilda Radner Saturday Night Live just getting all kooky with the dolls and stuff in my room. So apparently there was some imagination and creativity in there somewhere, buried in there, and it brought it out.
Yeah.
But it's so great for people, because that people who have no intention of really wanting to perform just want to be a little bit more confident.
Right.
It kind of opens up doors and windows and knocks down walls and just makes you approach things from a completely different angle.
Yeah.
I think. And it makes you freer and clearly more spontaneous.
Oh my God, yes. Mm-hmm. So when Dick told you were going to do a show then, can you remember who you played with in your first professional show?
Some of the people I can. I remember Bo Johnson was there.
Okay.
My first show was actually not in the regular space. We used to do these remote shows out at like the Marriott Hotel out in Brookfield.
Okay.
On Blue Mound, Moreland, something like that. I don't even think it's called the Marriott anymore. So we were at a hotel on a Friday night.
Hello, it's not that kind of interview.
Playing games. But so Bo was there. There was another woman named Luann was there. I think Brian Green was there, because somehow Brian Green always ends up on the first show that you do, because he always
was in mine.
He was, yeah.
In
he puts you at
Milwaukee,
ease.
yeah.
He instantly puts you at ease.
Yeah.
So you can pay me for that later, Brian Green. Checks in the mail.
Right.
But I can't remember. I remember I had a big white like lace bow in my hair for some reason.
Like, because you did that
because I put my hair, well, I kind of did.
Okay, it was 1990.
It was.
All
and
right.
so I had my hair up in a ponytail, which I'm showing you now, but no one else can see.
It's lovely. You all should be here to see this.
Because we're on the radios. And there was just, and I remember that for some reason too.
Yeah.
Other than that, I just remember, that was it. We were playing a game, and it was a guessing game, a gibberish game. Was supposed to be gibberish.
Okay.
But I wasn't speaking gibberish. And so we got through it somehow. And then the next week I was still taking some of these workshops. And Bo, he was like, okay, we're going to work on this next game because clearly some of us need some more work on this game.
No.
I was made an example.
Oh, no. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Well, that always feels good.
It does. But you know what? I learned. It made me tougher.
Sure.
Built some character, and the rest is history.
Now, when you started playing, were there other females playing? You said a Luann. I don't know who Luann is.
Luann Salmon, she was there before I was. Yeah, there were other females. Jennifer Rupp.
Okay, right.
Was
Dick's lovely wife.
Yes. Oh my gosh, she was so funny. She still is. She was playing a little bit, not a lot, because she had played in Madison.
Right, she did Madison.
Carol Bauman was playing at the time.
Right.
Hilarious. She had been playing for quite a while before I got there. And then there were some other people who came up in workshops with me. Nancy Brown Miller,
Right.
who is one of the funniest people I've ever known in my whole life and still is. And Karen Stobie, who she moved out of town, but she was playing for a while too. So the 3-4 of us would play pretty regularly.
Okay.
But then it just kind of fell off. And for a while there, it was just me and the boys.
Right. And I wanted to ask you about that because, well, when I started in Milwaukee, you were the other female. And that was kind of it. So talk about, I mean, I didn't know if you had started and other women were there.
Yeah, there were when I first started.
But then you said it kind of dropped off and it was just you and the boys. What did were you, I don't know, were you perceived different or treated different by the audience I'm talking versus the guys?
You know, I don't know if I was aware of it at the time, but in hindsight, I believe that I did have to work a little bit harder to win the audience over, to be believable, to, But the other interesting thing that I didn't realize until a few years ago was that I made it as a woman on stage in the comedy world. I made an impression.
Yeah.
And this was pointed out to me by another player who said, do you know, Holly, when these little girls who are in the audience look up at you and they see what you're doing, what it means to them? And it hadn't occurred to me at the time until one of those little girls grew up and told me that she would come to shows, she and her friends, and they'd see me up on stage and then they would go home and play Comedy Sportz and pretend they were me. And
That's wonderful.
It blew my mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean, though. Like, you have to work a little harder. I felt that when I started in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And then if both of us were playing in the same show,
right?
It was like, God forbid they put us on the same team, or they would. Like, let's do girls against guys. And every once in a while, another female was sprinkled in.
Yeah, and that seemed to happen. So if we'd have 3 women playing on a night, I remember it would be, let's do guys against girls. And that was fun the first 1 or 2 times. But then it was like, how about we just all be performers and play? Yeah, which was fun. But you played in Madison before.
I did. I played in Madison, and there was one other female, Sheila. Oh, God. Oh,
something with an SH.
I'll say it again. Sheila was in Madison when I started already, but then I don't think there were... Oh, God, I'm embarrassed if there was, and I can't remember. But no, I mean, it was always...
So it was pretty much you solo.
Yes. And I guess I felt it more in Milwaukee playing as a solo female.
Yeah.
Or one of the few.
Right.
That from the audience, I felt like you said, you had to work harder. You had to prove that you were meant to be there. You know, I'm here. It's okay. I'm actually performing. You guys can think I'm funny too.
And I earned my spot to be here.
Right. You know, and I don't know. I've been thinking about it a lot. I guess it's like, and I don't know if you ever felt this, but I think now it's different. 2019, there's so many new women players down there. It's amazing.
I see that. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's amazing. But I feel like back then it was like women, and I still think to some degree are thought of in society as we're meant to be pretty and we're meant to not take up much space and we're meant to be quiet. And I mean, that's definitely changing.
Right.
But I feel like if you're a woman on stage, some people would look and be very confused. Like, you're supposed to be pretty and quiet. Why are you up on stage acting like
what's wrong in your life? Why are you up there? Yeah.
And I remember after shows, you know, when you high five people coming out and they're like, oh, hey, that was a great show. Sometimes somebody would say to me, like, you were my favorite. But they wouldn't say it like they'd say it to Brian Green or they'd say it to Joe Cortese. They'd look at me with this surprise, like, you were actually good.
I know. You're right. It was a surprise.
Yeah, wow. You ended up being my favorite. I didn't, wow, you know, and I'm like, wow, okay, like,
great.
As if like you said, as if I didn't earn my place there.
Right. And I think that probably was more so back when we were playing. But like you said, I think now it's just a totally different culture.
It definitely
and there's so many, female performers, comedians, actors who that people are exposed to every day and that have really kind of laid the groundwork. So it's really it's not unusual anymore.
No, it's not. And I remember going back when I decided to come back, within the past couple of years, they said, okay, well, why don't you go to the Monday night workshops? Kalf is running them. And, because you don't know any of the new players, get to know people. I'm like, sure, absolutely. And I show up, and it was mostly women.
Wow.
And I was stunned, just stunned. And I'd made a comment one night during notes with everybody about, like, what I just said. Like, I used to feel like women were just supposed to be pretty, and so we had to fight harder to be on stage. We had to go over the top more to try to get laughs. And they looked at me like I was insane. Like, I was talking about the 1800s and not just 10, 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm glad that things have changed.
Yeah. I am too. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. But I mean, like you said, we have so many women in just Hollywood. Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Melissa McCarthy. You have all these strong leading women now who are so funny.
And think about, we had, Carol Burnett and Lucille Ball.
Burnett, yes.
And think about how hard they had to work. And I think it takes a bit of a, obviously you have to have confidence and talent and an attitude
Absolutely.
to cut through something like that
Yeah.
and think, I'm not up here as a woman. I'm up here as a talented performer.
Right.
And
I have a right to be here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because I did whatever. I took the workshops. I
did the work.
Yeah, I did the work, and now I'm here, and I'm funny, and you're going to like me, damn it.
You're going to like me. We're going to have words.
So throughout Comedy Sportz, when you started in the 90s, you were back at Cults.
Yes, we started at Cults.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I almost forgot that.
Yeah, well, that was my first year in high school leagues. I was back at Cults.
Okay.
So I remember that place. That was an interesting space.
Wasn't it? It was tiny.
It was tiny, and the dugouts with the low.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting.
You crawl up. I think we had to, jump up on stage and then go down into the dugout.
Yes. Yeah.
And everything was like written on paper. We'd be writing out suggestions with a squeaky little marker.
They do it on a screen, not with a computer.
Yeah. We had like
time.
a hammer and chisel and a
Yes,
rock.
no, I know. I'm blown away when they do that because I'm writing it down. I'm like, who's got the dry erase board? Where are the markers?
I'll just text it to you. Yeah. So that was, I can't remember what year we moved out of there. I want to say...
I think it was 93. 92,
okay.
93 season started at the new place. Well, not new anymore. At the place on Jefferson.
On Jefferson, yeah. So, and that was such a huge upgrade because, now we own, or we were renting our own building, our own space.
Right.
We weren't just like in the back of a restaurant kind of thing. So that was an awesome space to perform in.
Right.
And I felt like that was kind of the heyday.
I felt like that too. And I don't want to be that old person saying, back in my day.
Back in the day.
But, for us, I guess it was.
It was. Well, yeah. That was our time. That was our
Yeah.
up and coming. That was
Right.
that was it, So a lot of good times there, a lot of good shows there, a lot of good memories there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What were some of your favorite games to play?
Oh my goodness. I loved emotional games, like, changing emotions was one of them. Changing styles was one of them. We would play a game called Blind Line, right?
Yeah.
With the suggestions on the piece of paper. That was one of my favorites. There was also, I enjoyed games like, slideshow where there was a lot of physical humor.
That game is not played. That's a good one.
It's not. Yeah. Moving bodies I
Yeah.
loved too.
Yeah.
A lot of physicality. The games that terrified me were singing games.
Really?
Because I can't sing a lick.
I can't believe that with your wonderful speaking voice.
Thank you. No,
Why don't
I
you
don't.
sing a little bit for us?
I do.
here?
Happy birthday to you. Yeah. So nobody wanted to stand next to me. It was supposed to be funny. And, my singing was funny, but they would terrify me.
Well, but what singing games were played? Now I don't think of any. But
Actually, To Do Run Run was one of them. That was a line game. That wasn't so bad.
That's not so bad.
But we used to play a game called Musical Chairs.
Oh, that one's brutal. Explain that to our listeners here.
So let's say there's 6 players. Obviously, there's 5 chairs out there.
So you got both teams up there.
Both teams are up there. It's a head-to-head game. Music's playing and we're just, marching around those chairs, right?
Yeah.
The music stops, grab a chair.
Just like when you were a kid.
Just like when you were a kid.
But
the person who didn't get a chair, there was a bucket full of suggestions from the audience about different styles of music. So, jazz or opera or rap would come up. Yeah, polka. Who sings a polka? Oh, I
Right.
could because I'm an Ignatowski. But it was just terrifying. And so you're leading, you're singing, you're making this song up.
Yeah, so you pull out jazz, and then you get a suggestion from the audience.
Right.
like,
And I'm like, what is jazz?
grocery
sound
cart.
like? Right.
And everybody is backing you up,
Right.
but you are.
You're taking the lead. You have to lead. And for years we had Paula Fingers Foley, who was on keyboard, and that
Right.
woman could literally play anything
Yeah.
you threw at her. It's like, play this song from 1922, and she would do it. So that was very helpful. She was
Yeah.
very helpful along the way, but there was a lot of flop sweat coming off of me at that time.
Those games those are my least favorite. My favorite are the scenes, when you're working as a group and you're working together, and if you're feeling a little like, I don't know what I'm doing, that somebody's got your back.
Yep.
The games that are so terrifying are the ones like that, where it's all on you.
Yeah.
It is, you're singing this, and oh,
I know.
I'm like getting nervous right now thinking about it. Those are
Yeah.
the ones that really, they get me.
They do.
I just did a show, and we were doing a switch interview. And the kid next to me sets me up as Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
doing a Shakespearean sonnet.
okay. So what was the problem?
Right. And I'm thinking, you're so mean. Number one, I'm not an impersonator. I'm not. Like, and
know.
if you knew that, if this kid knew me, he would have known that I'm not an impersonator. Some people, you're like, oh, you can do that. They can
Sure,
do anybody's
sure.
voice. I don't do accents well. I'm not an impersonator. And so he just kept piling on all these
Oh
endowments.
my gosh.
And I looked at him, and I was like, and I was so nervous that I let the nervousness get to me, and it flopped.
Did you run off stage crying?
I cried. No, I tried, and I didn't get a laugh, and there were crickets. And then, in notes afterwards, the ref was like, well, there was some good and some bad. And I said, I'll take credit for all the bad.
All the bad, no.
And he was like, well, you really got set up, though. That wasn't very nice. Yeah, that's just part of the game, though. But
It is. I know.
those ones when you're singled out are rough sometimes.
It is, but that's where all the, the comedy training comes in, and it's just, and what is it? If you can't be funny, be loud. It's like, as long as what you're doing it with confidence.
Yeah.
That's where your training kicks in. It's just
see?
like, I don't know this. I'm not going to sound
Right.
anything like, Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
singing Shakespearean sonnets or
Yeah.
whatever, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it loud and proud.
See, and I forgot that part. I don't play regularly, and I was feeling the nerves, and suddenly I felt like, oh man, I'm going to screw it up, and I let that get to me.
I know. I crawled in many bags in my time.
Right?
Just like, yeah.
So you said you used to be shy-ish.
I believe I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then obviously doing improv at Comedy Sportz will certainly change part of that.
It does.
But so when I started and met you, I always thought of you as this cool, calm, comfortable, strong woman on stage.
Wow.
And, and I don't want to turn this into the men versus women kind of thing, but it was something to look up to because you were the only other girl there.
Right.
And I just thought you were so strong and so comfortable. Like, in my mind, I was struggling with being one of the few women because I had to prove something.
Right.
And it never seemed like you felt that way. You just
Well,
had such comfort. How
Then
do you
I fooled
find...
you.
No, like, how did you get to that place where you were just so comfortable?
I don't know. I feel like it took a long time. And I can remember being told by other players, good players. One of them in particular is still at Cults. And, after a night of 2 shows, we kind of all get together and we just socialize afterwards. And, he kind of gave me a look, like he shook his head like, yeah, you did okay tonight.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? So how was it? Was it all right? He's like, well, let's just put it this way. People don't dread seeing your name on the lineup anymore. So I was like, oh, right, I made it. But that's how it is. You get there and it's like, you get thrown into the wolves. I mean, you have your training, you
Sure.
go up there, you know the rules, but then you got to make it happen,
Yeah.
and it's a team effort
Yeah.
and you have to work together. So I don't know. It took years to get to the place where, I don't know that I ever did a show and wasn't at least a little nervous, but you get up there and you're like, you know what? I do this. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm capable of.
Right.
So I'm gonna put it out there.
So what are your strengths when
What
you're
are
doing
my
a Comedy
strengths?
Sportz show? What do you think your strengths are? What do you bring? Like, like I said, some people are are great at accents. Or I'm not, I'm terrible at pun games. I just keep saying how awful I am at everything.
I suck at this.
But what do you bring that you're like, you do feel confident in?
Yeah, I think I used to be really good at accents. I could do accents. I loved accent games.
Yeah.
And like I said, emotions. I think again, back to the physicality, which was always important, the miming portion of doing improv. It really helped me to be in the moment. So I was very expressive about the space that I was in. And I think that helped me. It helped to lead my characters. I love doing character work.
That's,
if
that's
you can
what
be,
I feel good too.
Who is it? Beyonce. She's got Sasha Fierce is her like alter ego or something like that. Did I get that right? Is that what the kids are saying these days?
Kyle.
Is there a young person in the room?
I don't know.
Anyway, so she has this alter ego where she goes on stage and I get that. If I go up on stage as Holly Ignatowski, my knees are going to knock a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
But and if I have to just talk to you, but if I'm up there and I'm some character you've endowed me with,
right.
There's no fear.
Right.
It's just, so I think the character strength and the physicality and just once you get to a place where you've been performing and you know the people you're performing with and the space you're with and you get comfortable with all that external stuff and then you can finally get on stage and just when it gets to the point where you're having so much fun you forget there's an audience you're performing for.
Yes.
That's where the magic happens.
That's a sweet spot.
It is. Yes, it totally is.
It really is.
Yeah, and I think because there was that element of fear, I would always force myself to be the first one on stage, like to start the scene.
Good for you.
Rather than waiting and going, oh, when's my opportunity? I was like, I'm going in.
I got to bring in the funny.
I know. I'm going in. I better think of something quick.
Yeah.
So I think that and I hate to memorize stuff, so that's why I do improv.
Have you ever done theater? Have you ever done scripted?
I was a frog on a log in 8th grade.
You were a frog on a log.
I was.
What was the play?
Pretty darn good. Frog on a log.
Frog on a log.
No
I
idea.
started in it and I rocked that log.
I totally rocked it. No, I didn't. I never did. I've done on-camera work where I'd have to memorize a script, but I've never performed in a play. Nothing. No.
Any stand-up?
No. Again, memorizing.
Yeah, no, not going to do it.
Too scary.
How has improv changed your life outside of Comedy Sportz?
It got me a husband.
It did, little Mr. Joe Cortese.
Mr. B, he's my guy. Yeah, so that was fun. We met, he started playing probably in 1986, because I believe it started in 1984. And then he was in a group called Brady Street. They were another improv group. And at the time, to get into Comedy Sportz, you had to audition. So they went and auditioned, and he got in.
Did they all get in? It was him, Angelo, Bruce, and John Plesnick.
Yeah. So they were all 4 just ginormously funny people. And so he started in 86. I started in 90. And we were friends. We were good friends for 6 years. We, did shows together, whatever, And then there was always kind of a connection, a chemistry, an attraction. Yeah. So
did you like him?
I totally liked him. Yeah. And he totally liked me. And, finally he was, dating people. I was dating other people. And finally we were
both single. And
we're like, hey, should we? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
And then a year later we were engaged. And a year after that we got married. And we've been married for 21 years.
That's so lovely.
There have been a lot of Comedy Sportz marriages.
I know.
Yeah. Do you know of any others?
Let me think. Dick and Jen.
Yes. Dick and Jen. I think there's a Dave Nelson who married a player named...
Yeah, I think that's me.
Christine Capriolo. Yeah. I know. So,
we'll be married this year 12 years, I think.
See? It works.
It does. That is... one of the things Dick Chudnow is most proud of is the love that comes out of that place.
I think at one point, he had a count of like, and this is throughout the whole country.
Oh, yes.
Of all comedy sports, how many couples, and there's quite a few.
And how many babies came out of that
Babies,
place?
a lot of babies.
I mean, could be quite literally conceived in that place, but that's a different podcast.
I think maybe a few did, probably.
But no, that is something he is most proud of and excited about, is that all the love that has come from there.
Yeah. We are a family. We're one big, very dysfunctional family.
Super dysfunctional.
Yeah.
What is something that if Comedy Sportz never happened in your life, well, other than not being married to Joe,
Right.
what would have happened?
Wow. That's a really good question. I never thought about that. I think everything in my life would be different. I don't think I'd be as interesting. I don't know that I am interesting, but I don't think I would be as interesting as I am. I'll tell you, Comedy Sportz has been I'm going to stop playing with the pen. Comedy Sportz has been the best training that I've had for my voiceover career.
Yeah, so talk about that. You do voice work professionally out of your home?
Out of my home, out of a studio, wherever the producer wants me to be.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so...
Are you the Walgreens lady?
I used to be.
I
used to be the in-house Walgreens lady. So you'd be walking through and it would be like, hey, Cheetos for sale in aisle 2. No, I never talked about Cheetos for sale. No, I'd be like, hey, this week we've got I don't know. I don't remember. See, that was memorizing.
Well, we go to so many places and Dave will be like, is that Holly? And I'm like, I don't think she's everywhere, but she might be though.
I do the same thing. It's funny. I'll stop. I'll be like, is that me?
Yeah.
Did I do that? Or Joe, my husband, will be like, that's you. And I'm like, no, it's not me.
I didn't work for
That's not
Burger
me.
King.
Oh, come on. So it is pretty funny. But yeah, so that was one example, in-house stuff. I do commercial work, industrial work, whatever. I just got to do fun character work today. So,
Really?
Yay. Yeah.
Is your voice going to be in like Pixar next?
Well, yeah, that would be pretty sweet. I would move out of Milwaukee probably.
Yeah, then that would be the turning point.
That would be the turning point. But you know what? I love it. I love my career here. I love what it is. I love what I do.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have any favorite like memories from a specific show or something? Like, I mean, you have done at this point thousands of shows.
Oh my gosh.
Someone will come up to me and be like, hey, you did a show that one time. Remember that one game you played? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But there's a few that certainly do stand out in my mind. Do you have any that stand out, like who you're playing with and just
gosh, yeah. We all have, there's like groups of people that you have more chemistry with. And you've known longer,
Absolutely.
so one of my favorite people to play with is Rolly Cafaro.
Rolly, mine too. He's
Cafaro,
so great.
Right? He's so funny. But we were at the space on Jefferson.
Okay.
And we were playing Moving Bodies. And we had this like young girl who was doing the moving bodies. We as players cannot move our own bodies. So the audience member.
You're like mannequins.
Yes.
Like we tell if it's a kid, we're like a Barbie doll and you have to move us.
Right.
Okay.
We can talk, but we
Right.
can't move. So they have to move all 3 players' bodies, right, into this scene. So I was at the front of the stage and the audience member like kind of crouched me down on the stage and then it was time for me to stand up. So, rather than like pull me up by my shoulders or just, unbend my legs, she just put 2 hands on the girls.
I remember this because I was on the other team.
Yeah, and just lifted me up. And
she was like 7
She
or
was 7
8 or something, yeah.
And I was hesitant at the time, and she was like, get up. And the crowd knew what happened. And I just had this Johnny Carson moment of all I could do was like stare out at the audience.
You definitely broke character.
I did. And once all the laughter and the screaming died down, I was just like, Mommy's going to stay here for a little while. She's been violated. It was just the most surreal moment. I don't think that girl had any idea what she had done.
No, she didn't. She had no clue why the crowd went crazy. The look on your face is actually one of the things I will never forget is when this little girl grabbed your breasts.
Yeah.
And you looked so shocked. shocked.
I was. I thought Rolly was going to lose his mind.
Probably pooped his pants.
I think he did.
And
Yeah.
you're right, the little girl had no idea.
No, but that was, a somewhat memorable moment.
God.
So, yeah,
I remember
got
being on
felt
the other
up
side, the other team, and we're like, oh my God.
What is she doing? She probably was like, what?
What? Just move, lady. Jeez.
Get up. Okay.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite
That
moments.
was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I were to put out some games here
What? What's
and
happening?
ask you, get those readers on, lady.
I gotta get my cheaters on.
And ask you to pick 2 games.
Okay, I'll do that. First, quick story about
Yeah.
another fun moment.
Yeah.
So this was, I was over the age of 40 playing a show with, and most of the players were around the same age or older than me. We played a game called Pick a Play.
Oh, yeah.
Where you'd have a book.
Sure.
And everyone's assigned a character in that book, right? So you have your book and you got to read the lines. It was the geriatric show. We all passed around one pair of cheaters so that we could all read our lines. That was one of the funnier moments. I enjoyed that immensely.
Things change as we get older.
A little bit.
And that's, yeah.
Anyway.
Was there anybody, before we play some games, was there
Yeah.
anybody who, when you started, or even later on, I don't know, that was intimidating to play with? You're like, oh my God.
Oh, are you kidding? Everyone, in the
Everyone?
first couple of years. Well, yeah. Because they were just...
So amazing.
Yeah, I would watch them in shows and be completely blown away. And all of a sudden, I'm on stage with Brian Greene,
Right.
John Podlesnik,
Right.
Angelo Farina, Joe Cortese,
Yeah.
Bo Johnson. It was just, the audience didn't scare me. It was like,
It was the fellow player.
I can't disappoint them. I'm going to look like an idiot. Yeah, but you know what? That's what raises your level
It does.
of play.
It does. Because, like you said, when you get someone to say, we don't look at your name on
we
the
don't
lineups now.
dread it when you see your name in the lineup. I'm like, woohoo!
I mean, when you get one of those guys to laugh,
Yeah, you've made
then
it.
you're like, oh, like you can finally relax.
And that's where the confidence comes in. You're like, okay, I'm
Totally.
doing something right.
I got Brian Greene to laugh over there.
Come
I'm
on,
doing okay.
I'm on top of the world.
That's so great. Yeah. So I'm going to have you pick one of these games here.
Okay, all righty. Let's
Or 2 of them. I'm going to have
I'm
you
picking
pick
2
2
games?
And you talk about the games and tell me which one you'd rather play if you were in a show.
Okay. Let me see. I'll go on the bottom here and pick this one out. Okay. Ooh. All right. So we have audience sound effects and switch interview.
Oh, wow.
Right? Okay. Both fun games.
Super fun.
Super fun. So, audience sound effects, we bring up an audience volunteer. We give them a microphone.
Right.
And they have to do all of the sound effects for the scene that we're in.
Yeah.
So, it's like, hey, I'm going to go mow the lawn. And they got to, because that's what a lawnmower sounds like. Luckily, I was never one of those volunteers.
Because somebody thought the lawnmower had a lot of gas.
Yeah, and then it would have been the phones ringing. So, but we had some, and you get some really good ones, and you get some people who are shy, and
Right.
there's not a lot going on, so you work with it, and it's
Right.
fun. But love that game.
Do you like audience volunteer games?
I do actually, for the most part.
Right. Sometimes, like you said, they work, and sometimes you're just
Yeah.
like, wait, were you planted in the crowd? Do
Exactly.
you know how to do
exactly.
this?
I'm not crazy about the ones who feel me up, but
Well, again, she was like 7. She
yeah,
didn't
so
mean
it
anything.
wasn't that bad. But yeah. No, for the most part I do, because then the audience sees that, I would be terrified to volunteer to be an audience member or volunteer.
Yeah.
There's no way. So I give them so much credit.
Yeah.
For doing
and
that.
I often wonder if I didn't do Comedy Sportz, would I be like a groupie? Would I go and watch the shows?
Watch 'em,
Be like,
yeah.
this is so cool. I wish I could do this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or would it just be something I never saw, or I saw it once?
Yeah. A couple
know?
times.
Yeah.
No, it was really funny. I do remember seeing it at Summerfest back in the day, and just
Oh, my
that was a
God.
huge draw.
Well, that's back when we were at the comedy tent
Exactly.
and you'd play in front of 5,000 people.
Yeah.
And you're opening for national comics that came
That was a
by.
rush.
That was unbelievable.
That was a rush.
You knew you made it when you got a Summerfest show
Definitely.
or a New Year's Eve show.
Or a New Year's Eve show. That's
Yeah,
right.
when you were scheduled for New Year's Eve, you were like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. So the other one, switch interview. I think we talked about this earlier where
I just got set up and I got nervous and I let it get to me. Normally, I love that game.
Yeah. But that's kind of a nerve-wracking game too, because you don't know if you're going to be set up or what so two people, there's two chairs on the stage, one player from each team. There's an interviewee and an interviewer, and you get a topic from the audience, like, chewing gum in school, and you just compose an entire interview based on that, asking questions, and it can just go anywhere. You can get characters, it can turn into song. So that's a fun one too. What would be my favorite? I guess I'd have to say, I think switch interview, because again, there's probably more character work in there.
Character work is super fun. And plus it's just quick scenes.
It is quick scenes, which can be fun too.
Boom, boom, boom. They just go, 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 go.
Although there's a lot of character work in audience sound effects, and you can really manipulate them and have fun with them. I don't know. I can't make a decision.
Do you remember when audience sound effects was the entire audience doing the sound effects and not just one audience member coming in?
Vaguely. I remember that was the way it started.
It started.
Right,
so, you'd say, I better start my lawnmower. And then you've got, 100
200 people,
like,
There we go.
Yeah, that was different. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
So I think of you as your strength being gibberish.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to play an impromptu 6 things with you.
What?
Only it's going to be a one thing.
One thing. 6
And
things down to one thing.
You are going to do mime and gibberish and try to get me to guess this thing. Now, our audience.
That's going to be what?
It's going to be hooting for you. But they're obviously not going to see the mime. But I want to see if we can hear your gibberish. And this is putting you on the spot.
That's okay. Okay. Let's see if I remember how to play this game. Okay.
So it's like, from the audience, we ask for suggestions. Like, give me a sport, and somebody might say soccer, and then the referee's going to change it up. So they're going to say, okay, so we're playing soccer, but the guessers are out of the room, by the way. And instead of a ball, we're going to use something that's not shaped like a ball, and somebody might yell out, spaghetti. Okay, so we're playing soccer with spaghetti as the ball, and we're not playing against another team of soccer players. We're playing against this famous music group.
Okay.
So we change up different things in the suggestion and try to get the guessers to guess that by doing mime and gibberish. Gibberish being a made-up language. So now that our listeners are caught up.
And I'm caught up.
And you're
Thank
caught
you
up
for the
because you
refresher.
remembered. Did I explain that well?
You did.
I want to hear your gibberish, and let's see if I can guess this one thing from 6 things.
Okay, so should I tell the audience what I'm doing? But they won't know that you're out of the room if I tell you this.
Let's just go for it.
So just go for it. So just make something up. So I was taking notes as you were explaining. I think I came up with something.
All right.
So I got to change that into a thing. And that's got to be. So do. Okay.
All right.
Let's give this a try, shall we?
Let's give it a try. We have 90 seconds, minute and a half.
Really? Okay.
No, we won't really time it.
Okay, thank God. Okay, here we go. Can I? No, I better not. All right. I'll do it from my chair. I've never done it seated before. Okay. Bing, 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 bing. Oh, flippity gibbet.
So maybe I should do the English. She's making something in an oven. It's like a muffin. Oh, it's an English muffin.
Boing, 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 boing. Lakatosa na markasa lakata. Shita bata watako kapakapu. Lakata ko pakatai. Mikatota shinama. Lokata ay kosa na markatea. Alakotoso na markatea. Lakataso naman nakatakabatia. Asamarayo! Lakatapash nonda samanakatia da. Alakatasho naman nakata.
Oh no, you're getting zits from the greasy garlic bread.
Lakatoso naman na. I suck at this. Mataso naman na kataya. Okay, lakatoso naman na. Batasha da boinga da. Watasa maringa.
Cookies. Cookies. She's making cookies.
Oh, okay ta. Okay.
Okay.
Masaninga bala. Sefunde bolush.
But it's not coming out of an oven.
No. Oh, that shit.
Oh my God, we're making it in the chicken.
Yes.
Cookie flavor.
Yeah. And the potato
Doesn't taste like chocolate chip. Oh, it tastes like an old man's phlegm. Old guy. Phlegm. Elderly. Geriatric. Young. Old. Geezer.
What is this? What? Wait, like 6 minutes now?
What is it?
It's Grandpa. Clearly, it was great. Hey, you got everything.
Baking cookies in a chicken oven, and we're actually baking Grandpa.
We're baking
I
Grandpa.
was just too busy watching you mime, which our listeners can't hear. Which your gibberish is so genius.
Was it?
And normally the person wouldn't be yelling out in English. I'd be doing gibberish too, but this was more entertaining for me.
Felt like I was offensive, maybe at times.
You're literally sweating.
I am, because I have flop sweat under my arms right now. I've never done it from a chair before.
It's awful, right?
It was really
I know,
hard.
and I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm supposed to be saying gibberish back. I shouldn't. I should speak in English.
I know, you're like, ush malakas pro.
The point is, your gibberish is fantastic.
You think so?
I do.
Thank you.
You just have such energy and so... just a chicken, you're a chicken.
Oh, that was some of my better work too.
That really
I wish they could have seen that.
That was really your audition to get back into the troupe.
It was. Thank you.
Yeah, we got to get you back, Holly. You stopped playing some time ago.
I did, because, my couch is so comfortable at like 9 o'clock at night.
Girl, I hear you. I did a 7:30 and I couldn't do the 10. I was like, I'm in bed by 10:30. I can't.
I know. And I did. I like weaned myself off the late shows, and then I don't know. Do
you miss it?
I do. I do miss the performance aspect of it. If I could do a 2 o'clock in the afternoon show on a Wednesday.
Heck yeah.
I'm in. But, the weekends have become very busy and, you do other things. But every once in a while, like we just recently did a show together.
We did.
This past year.
Like Girl Scout show or something.
For our great nieces. Yep. For their Girl Scout troop. And that was so much fun.
Yeah. I was honored that you asked me to do it. You
I
called
did.
me and you said,
Christine play?
"Oh my God, can you play? Because I need to be comfortable."
Yeah, I
and
do.
I
Because it had probably been a couple years since I'd played.
Well, are we going to get you down there again?
Maybe, perhaps.
Maybe.
You never know.
Oh.
If there's, if somebody needs some good gibberish done or Grandpa baked in the oven, just let me know.
People listening to this are like, Christine is the worst gusser on the planet.
No, they'll be like, Holly, what? Gibberish?
The point was the gibberish, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Well, Holly, Ignatowski, you got Fluffy in there for your nickname.
I did get Fluffy in there.
Holly Fluffy Ignatowski. Where did that come from?
Yeah, that's funny. We were just in Florida with our great nieces, and one of them asked me how I got that nickname.
Did
and
she?
I can't tell her. But I'll give you the PG version. So back in the day when there were not necessarily playing regular, I can take my glasses off now. Not necessarily playing, but there were a lot of women involved in Comedy Sportz.
Okay.
A big group of us went to the Renaissance Fair.
Okay.
On the
seems
Illinois
innocent.
border. Right, I know. But it was like the hottest day ever on the planet. So we're there all day. Even though you're in the woods and shade, you're sweaty, gross. So it's the end of the day. I said something, and somebody said to me, "Shut your effing hole." And I heard, "Shut my fluffy hole." And from that day forward, I was known as Fluffy.
You were Fluffy.
I was
Holly
Fluffy
Ignatowski.
So I tried to be as fluffy as I could and that's why I wore a bow. I had to live up to the name.
Because hello.
I'm Fluffy.
Well, Holly Fluffy Ignatowski, this has been fabulous. I've looked up to you forever at Comedy Sportz, and I'm so glad that I could play with you.
You're one of my heroes, sister.
Oh, go on. We could
I will.
do this all day. Let's go to Cops and get some custard.
I'm in, no ass.
And talk about how awesome we both are.
We are.
Holly, thanks for coming, and one of these days I'm going to get you back in the show.
All right.
You,
Good
me, and
luck.
Broly.
I'm in.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Thanks for coming. We'll see you guys next time. The Comedy Sportz Podcast is produced and engineered by Kyle Hanneken. Our announcer is PJ Rockwell. Feel free to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Comments and inquiries can be sent to the Comedy Sportz Podcast at gmail.com. Created and hosted by me, Christine Rollo Capriolo. Thanks for listening.
The Comedy Sportz Podcast is an independent production made by CSz players. The views and opinions expressed by the podcast host and any guests are their own and do not represent the views and opinions of any CSz location or CSz Worldwide. Vocabulary used by the host and guests is not necessarily representative of the CSz brand.